Alrighty, and where we left off, the major concepts of a successful life. We left off on keeping a journal. In our continuing search for knowledge and understanding, there is another major discipline that will help us to capture the information around us so that our future will be better than the past. Keeping a personal journal. A journal is a gathering place for all of our observations and discoveries about life. It is our handwritten transcript, narrated in our own words, which captures the experience, the ideas, the desires, and conclusions about the people and events that have touched our lives. A journal provides us with two remarkable benefits. First, it allows us to capture all of the aspects of the present moment for future review. The events that take place in our lives, experiences that we live and learn from, should not just happen. They should be captured so that their lessons can be invested in the future. The past, when properly documented, is one of the best guides for making good decisions today that will lead to a better tomorrow. While it is true that every event is recorded in the brain, we cannot always access the specifics surrounding those events at will. Often the details can become blurred or distorted over time. We may remember the outcome, but we may have forgotten the exact sequence of events or decisions that were made. Without accurate information to enhance our recall of the past, we run the risk of repeating many of the same errors over and over again. Without a journal, those special moments, those milestones of emotion and experience will be blown by the winds of our own forgetfulness into a deep corner of the mind where their value will become lost forever. The emotion of that special moment, unless captured in a journal, will soon fade. We may recall the event, but we will have lost the emotion. The second benefit of keeping a journal is the very act of writing about our lives helps us to think more objectively about our actions. Writing tends to slow down the flow of information. As we pause to gather our thoughts about an event we are trying to capture on paper, we have time to ponder and to analyze the experience. We begin to see more clearly the sources of our information, the facts on which we based our decisions, and the action we are taking in response to our beliefs. In other words, it is not just the event, but also our personal philosophy that comes under intense scrutiny in the process of capturing our lives on paper. And it is this intense scrutiny that enables us to make refinements to our philosophy that are truly life-changing. The discipline of keeping a journal also develops our ability to communicate more effectively. The more we practice capturing events and emotions with words, the more clearly we are able to communicate not only our ideas, but also the inherent value that exists within us. It is an interesting fact that when President Kennedy was assassinated, the personal journals of some of the country's most influential leaders captured the events of that sad day. As Air Force Ones cut through the sky from Dallas to Washington bearing the body of the slain president, many sat in silence, recording in their journals their vivid recall of the tragedy. It was one of those rare events when history was recorded as it happened, not merely speculated on by historians or a distant era. That combination of written accounts later served as a basis for William Manchester's The Death of a President, one of the greatest historical documents ever written. Most men and women of accomplishment maintain a frequent review of their personal journals. It is second nature to them. They seem to possess an inherent instinct that tells them that life worth living is a life worth documenting. In fact, the process of making a deliberate and consistent habit of writing in journals may well be a major reason for the rise to above average levels of achievement. It is the small disciplines that lead to great accomplishments. When average people give care and attention to important matters, their own growth into greatness merely awaits the passage of time. Both small disciplines and minor mistakes in judgment tend to accumulate, the former to our benefit and the latter to our deterioration. Neither success nor failure occurs in a single cataclysmic event. Both are the result of the accumulation of seemingly small and insignificant decisions whose collective weight over the period of a lifetime presents the individual with his or her proportionate reward. The use or the neglect of journals is not indispensable to the achievement of success, but the use of a journal is an important piece of the life puzzle called philosophy. By neglecting the journal, the puzzle can never be truly complete. Surely our lives are worth more than a birth certificate, a gravestone, and $500,000 in consumed goods and services compressed between those major milestones in our lives. Journals are the tools that enable us to document the details of the future as well as the progress of our existence, and in the process allows us to become more than we otherwise might have been. We are rapidly becoming a nation of passive intellects. The continued neglect of our reading and our writing skills is leading to increasingly undisciplined thinking habits. If we doubt this, we need only look at how many of our loved ones are turning to drugs, how many homeless people you see when you step out of your house, how many of our citizens are involved in violent or white-collar crimes, and how many of our children are dropping out of school. Poor thinking habits, poor values, poor decisions. And if this trend remains unchecked, we could soon decline to the level of a third-rate power. And I'm sure many of you would already agree on this very true fact that we see in the outside world. We cannot become a stronger nation until our attention to the essentials of life begins to change. The ability to establish more competent leadership in our government, our schools, our churches, our businesses, and our communities lies in the emerging value of the individual. That is why each of us must make a commitment to develop our full human potential, one discipline at a time, one book at a time, and one small entry in our journal at a time. Only by our personal philosophy and change, not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us.